morning. My name is Cassie Winters, and I will be your worship associate for the day. I got one too. This month we are exploring inclusivity, a concept that, let's be honest, we UUs think we're pretty good at. We've got the rainbow flags, we've got all of these religious flags, we've got diverse hymnals, and potlucks, where at least one person brings a dish that no one recognizes. We have been known to say, everybody's welcome at our table. And in theory, that's lovely. But sometimes the table is a little bit wobbly. The tablecloth doesn't go all the way out to the edges. The chairs are mismatched. And someone is hogging all of the good snacks. Yeah, that one might be me, sorry. And sometimes, let's be even more real, we forget to offer a seat at all. But inclusivity isn't just about surface appearances, it's about truly seeing and valuing each individual, acknowledging their stories, their struggles, and their unique spark. It's about building community where everyone feels safe, heard, and empowered with their light. That brings me to inner flames, our inner flames. Each of us carries a spark, a unique light that defines us, that connects us and includes us in the grand tapestry of humanity. Some days those flames burn bright and bold as a beacon for all to see. We feel confident, connected, ready to take on the world. And other days, we are cupping our hands around it, shielding it from the winds of doubt and despair, protecting it from being snuffed out by all the negativity swirling around us, just trying to keep it alive. And that's okay. Wherever your flame is today, blazing, flickering, glowing, protect your flame. It's yours. It's unique. It's what makes you, you. I didn't even mean to do that one, but when you read it, in your head, you don't hear it, so. And in a very important way, it's not just yours. It contributes to the collective flame that warms and lights our community, a light that we not only share as a community, but as a nation and as human beings. We strive for inclusivity. It's vital to acknowledge the voices that have cried out for justice, often in the face of unimaginable oppression. James Baldwin, a voice of courage and clarity during the civil rights movement, wrote, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." He said this in the context of the deep-seated racism and inequality that permeated American society. He wasn't just talking about overt acts of hatred, but also subtle, insidious ways of prejudice and discrimination that shapes our institutions and our individual perceptions. His words resonate powerfully today as we continue to grapple with the legacy of racism and the ongoing struggle for justice. But we must face these truths, however uncomfortable, if we ever hope to create a fully inclusive society. And that journey towards inclusivity is not always easy. It requires courage, vulnerability, and a willingness to confront our own biases. It requires a deep understanding of the human spirit. And that reminds me of Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived horrors of the Nazi concentration camp. In his seminal work, Man's Search for Meaning, he offered profound insights into human capacity for resilience. Even in the face of unimaginable suffering in the camps, Frankl observed that those who found meaning in their lives, who held on to hope, were more likely to survive. He argued that meaning is not something we passively discover, it's something we actively create. He argued that even in the most dehumanizing conditions, when all else has been stripped away, we retain freedom to choose our attitude, to choose our response. That freedom, the ability to choose, to find meaning, is a powerful source of strength. This should also ring true for us today as a powerful message. Even faced with overwhelming oppression, we have the power to choose how we respond. We can choose hope. We can choose love. We can choose to keep our flames burning. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning. I am Kikanza Nuri Robbins. I'm your preacher this morning, and I welcome you. Whether this is your first time here or you've been coming here all your life, I hope that this is one of the most powerful hours of your week. I see that there are lots of people in the anteroom. There are seats here way up front, so just come on down. There are also seats on this side of the sanctuary, so if you come up the center aisle, you can slide in over there. But come on in, you're welcome too. This sanctuary is a refuge. This sanctuary is a space of peace. This sanctuary is built on land that belonged to others long before our ancestors arrived. And so we honor the history and the legacy and the sacrifices of those who came before us, of the shoulders that we stand on, of the sacrifices and fights that people experienced so that we could be here today. Some translations of the Chinese character for crisis is danger and opportunity. Now, Professor Google says probably not, but it's a nice idea to contemplate that crisis means danger and opportunity. The prayer throughout my life to my gods have changed to accommodate my needs. And not to any particular God, but to whoever was there in the moment and I thought could respond. But my prayers have always been to be ready to recognize opportunity. Not to have a particular thing, but to be ready when whatever the thing was coming presented itself to me. So this morning, I light the chalice in the name of opportunity, that we may not miss it when its light shines in our faces.
Please rise in body or in spirit for our opening hymn. This is America the Beautiful, and I invite our section leaders to come up and lead our congregation in this hymn.
Beautiful for spacious skies.
introducing us to the other parts of that song. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, thus do we covenant with each other. El amor es la enseñanza de esta iglesia. Buscar la verdad es su sacramento y el servicio es la oración. Vivir juntos en paz, buscar el conocimiento en la libertad, servir a la humanidad en comunión. Así es como convenimos unos a otros.
Good morning. My name's Jessica Tenhave Place, and I am the Director of Multi-Generational Religious Education here at UUSM. And I want to invite anyone, led by my friends, Sebastian and Theo here, to bring forward donations for the Westside Food Bank. If you have something to donate, you can leave it right here up front. I see some of our friends bringing things like macaronis, Girl Scout cookies. There's a winner. You did? Yeah, watch out for the chalice. But also things like beans, soup, pasta, peanut butter, shelf-stable items that will help bring meals to people in our community struggling with food insecurity. So thank you, everyone, for bringing forward these donations, and I will meet my young friends down here on the steps for our time for all ages. Good morning. I missed you guys on Super Bowl Sunday. Were you happy with how things went? Yeah, you were. Well, I'm glad to see you all. Hi, Emerson. So, there's an important day coming up in our country. My own? Yeah. This week, as I'm sure you all know, the birthday of Pulitzer Prize and Nobel Prize winning author Toni Morrison. No, she did some really important things for our country and for the world by writing stories, a lot of them about African American characters and their experience of the world. We're in some football wrestling up here right now. But their experience of the world that hadn't been told in the way that she told it, and that lots of people were able to identify with. And in Toni Morrison's book, Beloved, there's a part that I really love, that where a preacher woman gets up and she's telling everybody about the sacredness of who they are, especially in the face of people who would tell them that they're not worth something and that they're not beautiful. And so this was a really important message coming from a Black author, but I also think it's a message that all of us can relate to regardless of our experience, because I don't know about you. Why? I'll tell you, good question. Because to me, it seems like the world a lot of the time wants us to be robots. Can you guys move like robots? Can you show me how a robot would move, you think? Yeah, kind of, yeah. Some Frankenstein-y robots just moving around, not thinking about much. Come back, robots. And robots can just work all the time, and they never complain or get tired, and they never cry, and they never want to dance or laugh or do anything fun. But how do people move? How do people move? Lots of different ways, I think. What are some of the ways? Yeah, they run. What do you think, Sebastian?
They talk, they sometimes get tired, different from robots.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things. We get tired. We need to rest. We also need to run. We need to get out our energy. We need to, let's see, can you guys help me do these things? We need to dance. We need to sing. Can we go la 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 la? Yeah. We need to sleep, like you said. Can we go? We need to smell the flowers. Oh, smelling the beautiful flowers. We need to. Stinky. Oh, yeah, there are some stinky flowers out there too. But what about when we get sad? What do we need to do when we get sad? Cry sometimes. You go. Or laugh. What do you think? Something's funny. Can you laugh? Or even sometimes we need to sit quietly and just watch the sunset and see the beautiful things in the world. And so I think we need to remember this message that Toni Morrison told us about loving ourselves as we are, as human beings, especially in a world that might say some human beings aren't as important as others or aren't worth as much as others. We know that even though we're all different, we share these experiences of being in human bodies. And so can we all give ourselves a big, big hug? Can you do this? Big hug. And say, I am beautiful. Yeah, so we're gonna go learn some more about how to show love to ourselves in the cottage, and we'll sing our way out. Okay, let's get ready to go.
I was just going to tell James what a great job he's doing teaching coping strategies. Just breathe when you feel like you need to cry. But cry also. We have a few announcements today. I'd like to draw your attention to the newsletter and the website that has a lot more information than I'm allowed to give today because somebody wants to come up and make an announcement on their own. Come on up, Eric. Give us that announcement.
So I'm Eric Pazel. I'm on the Leadership Development and Nominating Committee, and we are starting the exciting process of looking for a settled minister. So it's a multi-level process, like many, many steps. The first step is going to kick off next Sunday. So members of the LDNC and the board will be calling every household, engaging every household. And we want to meet with you in person if possible. And what we're looking for is names that you suggest to be on the search committee. So the first part of the process is getting the search committee together. So we're going to be trying to meet with you, and usually probably good times are like before Sunday service or after, but we're going to meet with you in person. And this process is going to happen from February 23rd to March 23rd. And we're hoping to talk to everyone who's a member in person within that month and get names that you suggest to be on the search committee. So I will be at Coffee Clatch. What is it? Is it called Coffee Clatch? Anyway, coffee hour afterwards. To answer questions. Okay, and I'm off.
Hi, okay. Don't forget to silence your cell phones. Tom's got wonderful art on the wall in the back. People are going to be going for a hike. You might want to join them. You got to read Jessica's piece in the website. It's about standing up for our LGBTQ plus community, children and youth, and making sure that they know they have sanctuary here. She's also going to be doing a march called the March of Dignity with Clue Justice on March 1st. There are carpools and rides available. Find out on the website about that one too. They're also working on the Mission and Vision Committee to help us figure out what we want to say to this new minister. So there's going to be 3 special Zoom conversations on the 18th, led by Julie Nyquist, who is one of the co-chairs of the Mission and Vision community. They want to know from members and friends why UUSM is important to you, what is your vision for UUSM in the next 5 years, and one value that you find important that you think we should be demonstrating now and moving into in the future. There's a First Sunday event series on living more sustainably. Again, I said the hikers, the folk dancing. Next Saturday, our animal ministry is going to put on an animal short film afternoon with free snacks and science fiction reading group. Later today, Clue will be offering something called the Sanctuary and Rapid Response Training. If you'd like to know more about this, you can go to the Peace and Social Justice meeting at 12 p.m. They will also be talking about related immigration enforcement issues. Today after worship, Norm Ritchie will be doing the Faith Forward series, discussing the 7 principles in Article 2 and the subsequent new logo that came from that. Also today, if you brought any dog food or cat food, the animal ministry is collecting it to share with Best Friends LA Pet Pantry for those people who are still struggling after the loss of their homes during the fires. Whatever you do, get out there. I want to challenge you to include yourself this month in at least one activity. It's not hard, just one. We won't bite. All right, we're going to give you a small chance to greet your neighbor. When you hear Ryan playing the piano, please end your conversations and have a seat.
Good morning, everyone. I'm gonna do a little spiel before this song. So this is a song called Huddled Masses, and for those of you who don't know, I moved to the US from the Philippines in 2012, and I actually got my first work visa back in 2017 during Trump's first presidency. It was a very meaningful but scary time for me, and so I moved in this country, and I wanted to sing this song and to program this song for today. It's President's Day tomorrow, because I think, and I want that hope in me to still be alive, that I still believe in the promise of this country and this community. And with everything that's happening, it's really becoming more and more difficult to believe in that. And I just want this song to really reaffirm that promise. So this is Huddled Masses by Shayna Taub. There once was a little boy who dreamed of preaching the gospel truth. He lived in a country with an evil king who's killing all the youth. His family fled the country in search of freedom's flame. He was raised a refugee. Jesus was his name. Give me your time, your poor, your huddled masses on your teeming shore, yearning to breathe free. Send them all to me. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses on your teeming shore. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Remember what I stand here for. There once was a little girl who dreamed of being a writer. She lived in a country with an evil king who burned people who prayed like her. Her family tried to flee it, to keep their kid alive, and was raised a refugee. Just her diary survived. Give me your time, your poor, your huddled masses on your teeming shore, yearning to breathe free. Send them all to me. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses on your teeming shore. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Remember what I stand here for. There once was a young man who dreamed of earning his degree. He lived in a country with an evil king who bombed his family. He flew to reach our borders, to start his life anew. He's detained today at JFK. We did not let him through. Oh, let him come through. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses on your teeming shore, yearning to breathe free. Send them all to me. Welcome all Muslims, Christians, Jews, and more. Every child fleeing hate and war. I lift my lamp beside the golden door, and I forever lift my lamp beside the golden door. Remember what we stand here for.
Well, if I was in another kind of church, I'd say, can I get an amen here? We have the most extraordinary musicians. I do preach all over the city, and you all are the best. Absolutely. We are so grateful for so many things. This is the time in our service where we gather as community to lift one another up in the spirit of prayer. So if prayer is not the word you use, to vibe with your neighbors, to hold them in consciousness, to hold them in the light, whatever it means to connect to others like you and unlike you, who are celebrating and who are in sorrow. We continue to hold in the light the people who have been impacted by the horrible fires all over our city. People who are impacted directly and indirectly. And again, if you have resources, like if you have a spare room, if you have a spare house that can be offered to someone who is now homeless, please let us know in the office so that we can share these resources with those who are in need. There is lots going on in this community, in our UUSM community. And so when people call you and invite you to yet one more meeting, when people call you and ask for your opinion, please give it. Please share. Please tell them what's on your heart. And please let us hold our congregation in the light as we seek to clarify the mission and vision of the church, as we seek to find the people who are going to lead us in the search for a settled minister. One of our very own has lost someone dear to her heart this week. Melinda Ewan, partner, S.J. Guidati, died not too long ago. And so his service is going to be Sunday, March 9th. And Melinda wants all of you all to come. We are invited. It's Sunday at 2 p.m., so you can come to church, go to lunch, and then come back for the service of celebration for the life of S.J. Guidati. There are other joys and sorrows in our community, things that we know about, things that you hold close to your heart. And so let us take this time in silence to lift up our joys and concerns as community. Our reading this morning is from the poem called The New Colossus. It's a poem by Emma Lazarus, and it's the poem that's engraved on the Statue of Liberty. Her words invite us to imagine a world where all who seek freedom find refuge. And you will hear these words and reminding you of what we just heard in the song that the choir sang so beautifully. So we read, "A mighty woman with a torch whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Keep ancient lands," she cries. "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door." At the beginning of a new presidential era, we find ourselves filled with lots of feelings. Now, this may not be the first time you have experienced it, but this may be the first time, may not be the first time, but it is not the first time that there has been corruption in the White House, and it probably won't be the last. We've had bad actors before, throughout history. So in the 70s, remember Watergate? Richard Nixon's scandal, where members of his administration were caught in many illegal activities, and then there was this massive cover-up that led to Nixon's resignation. Watergate profoundly damaged the public trust in the government. Earlier than that, Warren G. Harding, I don't think anybody was here when he was president. That was in the early 20s of the last century. Yeah, so 100 years ago. The Teapot Dome scandal, you may have read about it in history, where members of Harding's administration were found guilty of accepting bribes from the oil companies, from the oil barons, in exchange for leasing federal land without competitive bidding. Harding's presidency became synonymous with cronyism and corruption. And then earlier than that, 100 years before that, Andrew Jackson used the presidency to expand executive authority. He was the first president who was called king. They called him King Andrew. His execution of the Indian Removal Act was abusive and genocidal. It was the forced displacement of indigenous people on this continent. Native Americans were moved from their homes and their homelands to places where the folks in power didn't want to live. This was known as the Trail of Tears. And then before that, right after the Civil War, Andrew Johnson obstructed Reconstruction policies, slowed the progress of civil rights and Reconstruction in the post-war South. So it's not that corruption is new. It's not that people who are the official leaders of this country are doing a lousy job. The difference is that modern day abuses of power are covered in the media. We have never had access to so much information so quickly, with opinions and perceptions presented as facts at an unprecedented speed. It's difficult not to know something, and it's almost as difficult to get the whole story or the whole truth. So you might spend your President's Day tomorrow reading about corrupt men, past and present, or reading about the principles of power reflected in their actions. Nothing unites a people like a common enemy, and nothing will defeat an enemy if you don't understand them. I used to listen to Rush Limbaugh at least once a week, not because I loved him, but because I thought I needed to know what he was talking about. I now watch Fox News on occasion, can't take a lot of it, but I watch it because I want to know what other people are saying. I don't want to live in an echo chamber. I want to know what other people say about the people and things that I value. Now, I have a list of top 10 all-time favorite books. Mia's going to put them up on the screen for us in case you're interested. And on this list these are all books that have helped me in some way. They've helped me to navigate personal politics at work and at church. They've helped me to understand why and how world leaders have done the things that they have done. They've also helped me with love and relationships, but we're not talking about that this morning. But in case you're interested, they're up there. You can write them down. I strongly recommend them. So I want to talk about a couple of them. Some people say that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I have learned that it's the fear of powerlessness that corrupts most deeply. The fear of powerlessness corrupts most deeply. When people feel that they're losing their power, or they might lose their power is diminishing, they're going to do something to try to keep it. If you look at all these historical scandals, you'll see that pattern. So the book of the morning is Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. It's my first recommendation to you. You don't have to read the whole book from front to back, and some of you might say, oh, it's so long. You don't have to read it all. Just look at the table of contents. Just open the book and see what it is that speaks to you. It is one of the most beautifully designed books and unusually designed books that I've ever seen, and there's something to learn from every single page. Now, Greene doesn't say that these are the 48 laws that should guide our lives. What he said is that these are the laws that people in power have used against people of goodwill. We need to know these laws because we need to know the principles that others are using against us. One of the problems of liberal, progressive do-gooders like us is that we think that if we are good and kind and assume goodwill of others, others will be good and kind and just toward us. This is a great fallacy. Right up there with, I sent you the money, or I didn't read your text. I didn't even see it. See, Greene draws from history and philosophy and literature, such as Aesop's fables, Machiavelli, and the art of war. The laws he presents are not moral guidelines. He's not saying this is what good people should do, but they're strategies that are employed by those who seek to keep power, usually at the expense of justice and compassion. Understanding these laws helps us recognize the tactics that are used against people of goodwill. If you know these laws, you can better arm and defend yourself. So I'm going to share a few with you. Law 15 is crush your enemy totally. Play to win. If you choose to confront corruption, be sure you're prepared to dismantle it completely. You can't do a half job because it'll grow right back. If you're going to fight, fight to win. Law 18, do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous. You have to know what other people are doing. Networks provide information and support when you're confronting corruption. Keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. Law 48, assume formlessness. Be adaptable in your approach. Some people say, well, I have to be authentic and I have to be consistent and I have to be the same way all the time. No, you don't. You are diverse and flexible and versatile. You can be many different things and still be who you are. Corrupt systems are often unpredictable, and so we must be flexible and creative if we're going to survive and if we're going to succeed. So don't be predictable. Lao Tzu says in the Tao Te Ching, be like water. be like water. Now, I'm not suggesting that we live by the 48 laws. I'm suggesting that we be strategic. It's important to know what they are so that we can defend ourselves and our communities and the way of life that we aspire to. So where does a good UU stand? How can we live into our principles if we're fighting the laws of power that are used by others? Our sixth principle is the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. We really do mean all, but all people don't want any part of the beloved community. We must therefore plant our seeds where we are, cultivate what we can control, and trust that our work and our love will spread. The seventh principle is respect for the interdependent web of all existence. Everything is connected. Respecting our role in the interdependent web is understanding that nothing is all good or all bad, and that we must work with both the good and the bad. We must learn to navigate the complexity of the world, remembering that our actions ripple forward, they ripple outward in ways that we may not always see. We have to trust that whatever small thing you can do will make a difference. These are tender and challenging times. We may not have chosen these circumstances, but we must work with what we have. This is a time for leaning into one another, for strengthening our communities, and for standing firm in our values. If we want change, we must be willing to engage. We must be willing to take risks and to stand in our truth even when we're feeling exposed. Brené Brown reminds us that true strength comes from showing up even when the outcome is uncertain. She says vulnerability is not winning or losing, it's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. So we stand and fight, we resist. We may not win our particular battles, but we are part of something larger. And ultimately, if we stay strong, if we stay firm, if we stay focused, we will win. Margaret Wheatley says great leadership is grounded in relationships and resilience. She tells us there is no power greater than a community discovering what it cares about, which is what we're doing now with our vision and mission committees. There's no greater power than a community discovering what it cares about. In times of uncertainty, we must turn toward one another and face our enemies together. Change does not come from isolation, but from connection and conversation and the willingness to persist even when the progress feels slow. Wheatley says that hope is not a feeling, it's a choice. It's an agreement to work together to create possibility. These are tough and unifying times, filled with hope and opportunity. Not sure who said it, but nothing unites a people more than a common enemy, and I think we have one. We can get through this. It is not what we have chosen, but it's what we have. It is not what we want, but it's what we have to work with. I believe that love, when paired with wisdom and action, will win. Love will win out. I also know that love better be willing to fight for what it values.
Ooh, much to do, much to do. Thank you, Kikanza. Okay, your offering today goes to support the work of multiple groups in the church like RE, Peace and Social Justice, and many others. In addition, half of our Sunday offering this month goes to CLU, Clergy and Laity United for Economic Justice. The important LA group brings together clergy and non-clergy to educate, organize, and mobilize faith communities to advocate for economic justice. They collaborate with community organizations and labor unions and with lawmakers to improve the lives of working families. CLU is also working to provide a safe shelter to those seeking asylum in our country. All this work is especially challenging now as the administration takes power in DC. We invite you to contribute in whatever way feels right for you. Ways to give are displayed on the slide behind me, and all the ways of receiving support are gratefully accepted. And if you are new or visiting, or you just don't prefer technology, we have a more traditional method where the ushers will come up and pass a bag around, and you're free to drop whatever in there. Well, not whatever, like money type of things. Although I do like Tic Tacs, so if you want those, you could give them to me. Thank you for all that you give monetarily, through your volunteerism, or otherwise, to support the life of this congregation and to support the community beyond our walls. The ushers are now invited to come forward, and your offer will now be gratefully received.
When the best of me is barely breathing, when I'm not somebody I believe in, hold on to me. When I miss the night is falling, when I'm slamming all the doors you've opened, hold on to me. Hold on to me. When it's too dark
Please rise in body or in spirit for our closing hymn. This is 118 in the gray hymnal. 119, sorry, excuse me. 119 in the gray hymnal, ones to every soul and nation.
That is not a new song. It's been around a long time. Good people have been fighting for a long time. The same things. We can't stop. We can't give up. Why don't you go ahead and sit down? It's almost over. The coffee is heating. We can't do this service by ourselves. So just because folks stand here on the chancel or at the pulpit, we're not the ones who make sure that this service works well. And I want to acknowledge all of the people who help us, from the parking and facilities, opening up the building, warming it as warm as it ever gets. The ushers and the greeters who are outside, rain or shine, are incredible musicians. The worship associate and if it's Cassie, you know that you're going to get 2 sermons in one morning, and that at least one of them is going to really be good. I always can rest easier when I know Cassie's at the pulpit, because she does such a great job. We have a tech crew. We've got Mia back there in the corner, who we can see, but we've got several people who we cannot see who work during the week, Rima and Pam and Liz in particular. And so they make sure that the folks who worship with us online can access us. They also make sure that the slides up there and are accurate. And so lots of behind folks, and our online congregation makes a big difference in who we are and how we are together. And then we've got the folks who bring us cookies and coffee. Wouldn't be church without cookies and coffee. So with that, know that we extinguish this flame and carry the fire in our hearts. There's so much to do. Take a spark of this and carry it with you. And so, as this service ends, our service to ourselves, our community, and the world continues. Go in peace. Go and be peace. Go and make peace. Go fight like hell.